Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. This time, we're diving headfirst into the world of conspiracy theories. And you know what? We're using all your suggestions to guide us.
Should be interesting.
Oh, you know it will be. We're talking moon landing hoaxes, MKUltra, Illuminati. We're even going to get into some Hollow Earth stuff.
Gotta love a bit of Hollow Earth.
Oh, and of course, no conspiracy theory deep dive would be complete without chemtrails.
A classic.
And the Philadelphia experiment.
Always a good one.
Right. Now, before we get too far down the rabbit hole here, gotta put this out there, we are just here to explore the claims. We're not telling you what to believe.
Think of us like those tour guides in a jungle.
Yeah. We'll point out the strange plants, the mysterious sounds.
But whether you believe in Bigfoot or not, that's up to you.
Exactly. You're responsible for your own tinfoil hat here.
Exactly.
Ready to get started?
Born ready. Let's do it.
Okay, so let's just launch right into it. Moon landing. Gotta admit, the idea that it was faked, like on a soundstage somewhere.
It's a good story.
It is a good story. It's got that intrigue, right? And we've all seen those, like, documentaries, the ones with the evidence, the flag waving in a vacuum, the missing stars in the photos. Makes you wonder.
It does make you wonder. But that's the thing about misinformation, right? It often latches onto something visually striking, something that seems off, even if there's a simple explanation.
So, like the waving flag, what's the deal with that?
It's not wind. It's all about how the flag was mounted to the pole. They used a telescopic arm to keep it extended, and the waving motion, just inertia from the astronauts planting it.
Okay, so it's physics, not a conspiracy. What about the missing stars, then?
Not missing either. The lunar surface is incredibly reflective, especially with the sun blasting down like that. It washes out the fainter light from the stars in the photos.
It was like trying to take a picture of a candle while staring at a spotlight.
Exactly. It's all about how our eyes, our cameras, perceive light.
It makes you think, though, how often do we see something and jump to the most, yes, sinister conclusion? Which I guess leads us right to MKUltra. Now, this one's not just a theory.
Nope. This was real. A real CIA project.
And the details sound like, I don't know, a really messed up spy movie.
That's one way to put it.
So for those who haven't gone down this particular rabbit hole, hit us with it. What was MKUltra?
Well, the short version is the CIA was really interested in mind control.
Of course they were.
Right. And they used LSD, among other techniques, to try and, well,
to weaponize human consciousness.
pretty much. And the fact that this is all kept top secret for so long, well, it definitely makes you wonder what else might be going on behind closed doors.
It does make you think. I mean, on one hand, we have documented proof that governments experiment on their own people. So does that make it easier to believe in more modern conspiracy theories about mass surveillance, thought control, all that? I mean, where do we draw the line between being aware and
paranoid.
Exactly. Okay, let's move on to a classic, a fan favorite, the Illuminati and the New World Order.
Oh, yeah. Gotta love the classics.
It's everywhere. Movies, books, even just casual conversations. Everyone's heard of it. But what's the actual theory here?
So the basic idea is that there's this powerful, secretive group, the Illuminati, pulling the strings behind global events.
They're the puppet masters, basically.
Right. And their goal is to create a single global government, a new world order. They're also big on symbolism, using it to signal their presence and influence.
Like the all-seeing eye on the dollar bill.
Bingo.
See, I've always wondered, if they're so powerful, why not just, rule openly? Why all the secrecy?
That's where the theory gets a little fuzzy. See, the fear of secret societies, of centralized power, that's not new. Been around for centuries. Really ramps up during times of big change or uncertainty.
So it's about finding someone to blame for the chaos. Makes sense in a way, even if it is a bit unsettling. Speaking of unsettling, let's journey to the center of the Earth. Or at least to the theory that it's hollow.
This one always captures the imagination.
Right. I mean, we're talking about a whole other world hidden inside our own planet. Advanced civilizations, underground cities, the works. Our listener even mentioned the Nazis.
Ah, yes, the Nazis. They were very much into the occult, esoteric beliefs.
So did they really search for this supposed hollow Earth?
Whether they actually searched for it or not, it's more about the appeal, right? The hollow earth theory offers this sense of wonder. What if we're not alone? What if there's this whole other world right beneath our feet? It taps into this very human desire to believe there's more out there than meets the eye.
I love that. Okay, from the depths of the earth, back up to the skies for this one. And listeners, you know we had to talk about this. Chemtrails.
Ah, yes. Those wispy white lines, they
Yeah.
definitely get people talking.
Right. We see them all the time. But is it just harmless water vapor from airplanes? Or something more deliberate?
Our listener seems to think it's the latter.
They want to know, are these chemtrails some sort of government experiment?
Controlling the weather?
Maybe.
Our minds? Who knows?
Okay, so walk us through this. What are we actually seeing when we look at these trolls?
So the basic science is pretty straightforward. They're called contrails for a reason. Condensation. The hot, humid exhaust from the plane's engines mixes with the cold, dry air up in the atmosphere, and boom, you get these tiny ice crystals forming these white streaks.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about those ones that stick around for hours, spreading out across the whole sky? That's what always gets me.
Right, right. So that's just atmospheric conditions at play. High humidity, stable air that can cause those contrails to linger, sometimes for hours. The wind just spreads them out, creating those patterns in the sky.
So, completely natural. But again, it's all about how we perceive things, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of perception versus reality, our final stop on this leg of the conspiracy theory tour takes us to the Philadelphia experiment.
No, this is a good one.
Oh, it's a classic. We're talking World War II, a Navy destroyer called the USS Eldridge, and the goal was to make it invisible to radar. Right. But the rumors, the stories, claim things went a little sideways, like teleportation sideways, sailors merging with the ship's metal, crazy stuff. It's that blend of real history with the what if, you know.
Absolutely. And the imagery is so vivid, right? It's sailors trapped in this horrifying fusion of flesh and steel. It's a story that sticks with you.
It really does. But is there any truth to it, or is it just a really good story?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's where the evidence falls short. There are no official records to back up the claims, just whispers, rumors, anecdotal accounts that have been passed down and probably embellished along the way.
So the mystery lives on. Which I gotta say is part of what makes these conspiracy theories so intriguing, right? They fill in the gaps, offer explanations, even if they're a little out there, for things we don't understand.
And those explanations, even if they're not true, can still be really revealing.
About us.
Exactly. They tell us about our hopes, our fears. They reflect back our anxieties about the world.
And we're back for more deep dive. Still neck deep in conspiracy theories, you know? It's like for everyone we sort of pick apart, two more pop up to take its place.
Oh, yeah. It's like whack-a-mole with these things. The internet just, it keeps them coming.
And speaking of things we thought were, you know, put to bed ages ago.
Yeah.
Remember when we thought the Earth being flat was like a done deal? History books only. Yeah, not so fast.
Oh, no. The flat Earth is alive and well, my friend. Thriving even. Online, at least.
It's true. Our listeners sent in a bunch of flat Earth theories, and they had some detailed explanations.
Oh, yeah. They've got models. They've got diagrams. It's quite impressive.
Like our source mentioned this whole thing about a giant ice wall surrounding the disk of the Earth to hold back the oceans.
Right. Got to keep those oceans contained somehow.
Yeah.
Although, you know, basic physics of gravity on a disk versus a sphere.
Yeah, that's where things get a little wibbly-wobbly for me.
A little bit.
But okay, let's put aside the science for a second. What is it about this theory that still grabs people? It can't just be about, you know, what we can see with our own eyes.
You're right. It goes deeper. No pun intended. I think the flat Earth theory, for some people, it's about control. In a world that feels chaotic, unpredictable, if you can wrap your head around this idea, this different way of seeing the world, it's strangely comforting.
It's like having a secret, right? A piece of knowledge that most people don't have.
Exactly. Like you're in the know.
Okay, so from questioning the shape of the planet, let's move on to, well, questioning reality itself, I guess. Listeners, have you heard of the Mandela effect?
Oh, the Mandela effect. Now that one is fun.
Because it messes with all of us, right? Like you swear something happened one way and everyone else is like, nope, that's not how it went down.
Yeah, we all have those memories. Or those facts we just know are true, even if they're not.
Like, our source used the example of Nelson Mandela. A lot of people, they have this clear memory of him dying in prison in the 80s, but...
Passed away in 2013.
Exactly. Or the Berenstain Bears debate. Was it always spelled with an A, or...
It's an E.
Right. It's these little things that make you go, hold on, is my memory just totally shot?
Well, that's one explanation. But some people think it points to something much weirder. Like alternate realities, glitches in the matrix, that kind of thing.
See, that's what I love about this stuff. It makes you question everything.
Right. Like how much of what we perceive as reality is just, you know, our brains filling in the blanks, making stuff up as we go along.
Our brains playing tricks on us.
Exactly.
Okay, so the Mandela effect, Is there, like, a scientific explanation for it, or are we all just living in a simulation?
Well, I hate to break it to you, but it's probably not the Matrix.
Mhm.
Most likely, it's just how our brains work.
So faulty memory.
To a certain extent, yes. Memories aren't perfect recordings. They change over time. They're influenced by all sorts of things.
Would.
Other people's memories,
Mhm.
what we read, what we see on TV, even just like our own biases can warp how we remember things.
So it's more like our memories are like a game of telephone.
Kind of.
Mhm.
Each time we recall something, it changes a little bit. Gets a little fuzzier around the edges.
Huh. But I guess that's part of what makes us human, right? Our ability to remember, misremember, imagine.
Absolutely. It's that creativity, that flexibility of thought that makes us so adaptable
But it also makes us susceptible to, well,
to a good conspiracy theory.
exactly. And trust me, we've got some good ones coming up. We're about to dive into some truly bizarre listener-submitted theories, so stick around. All right, deep divers, buckle up. We're back and ready to wrap up our conspiracy theory marathon with some of the weirdest, wildest theories you, our amazing listeners, sent our way.
Listener-submitted theories, always a wild ride.
Oh, for sure. So let's kick off with a theory that's both kind of creepy and totally intriguing. Celebrity clones.
Ah, the old clone theory. A classic for a reason.
Right, like it feels like every other week there's a new celebrity death hoax making the rounds online, or those side-by-side photos claiming so-and-so has been replaced by a look-alike. So what's the thinking here? Is there some secret lab somewhere just churning out replicas of our favorite stars?
Well, the theory usually goes that the real celebrity, they've either met an untimely end, or they're being held captive
Yeah.
somewhere. And the clone, they step in to keep the public happy, the movies coming, the music playing.
It's like that movie, The Truman Show, but with like way more genetic engineering involved. And you know what? With all the technology we have these days, it's not that crazy to at least, consider it.
I mean, think about deep fakes.
Mm.
Facial recognition software. We're getting really good at blurring the lines between what's real and what's fabricated. No wonder people get a little suspicious.
It's that whole uncanny valley thing, right? Like the closer we get to perfectly replicating humans, the creepier it gets. Okay, you ready for another brain bender? This listener asks, what if time isn't real?
Now there's a question that's been around since, well, probably since humans first started thinking about time.
Right, like is time this constant force of the universe, or is it all just like in our heads? This listener seems to be leaning toward the it's all in our heads side of things.
Which is interesting, because it challenges our whole perception of reality, right? Like, what if our experience of time as this linear thing always moving forward, what if that's just wrong?
What if time is way more fluid, way more subjective than we realize? Whoa.
Exactly. And while, time travel is still science fiction, for now at least, our understanding of time is constantly evolving. Like, physics tells us time is relative, that gravity, speed, they can all warp it.
It's like that saying, time flies when you're having fun. What if it's not just a saying? What if our experience of time really is that flexible?
Right. Mind-blowing. And it just goes to show how much we still don't understand about the universe, about, the nature of reality itself.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today. From fake moon landings to hollow earths to mind control to the possibility that time is just an illusion. What a trip.
Truly a wild ride. But, at the end of the day, it's that sense of wonder, that willingness to question everything that I think is really at the heart of both science and, well, conspiracy theories.
So true. So to our listeners, keep those theories coming. Keep questioning, keep exploring, keep that curiosity alive because who knows, you might be the one to crack the code on some of the universe's biggest mysteries. Until next time, deep divers, stay curious.